So we had a crisis here at the office today. I don't know if anybody realizes it. It was extreme. We ran out of our Keurig Dark Magics. Just ran right out. It was a rough weekend, and if anybody has spare Dark Magics, we could certainly use them. We've got an order in, an emergency order in, put everybody at ease. We've got an emergency order in for Keurig Dark Magic pods, so we should be okay by Wednesday, but it's been a rough morning. The trying to give you an
Are you? I was just going to ask if you're okay, Dick. If you're okay without that Dark Magic coffee.
I'm hurting.
I'm seriously concerned.
Deb ran down to Grand Union and bought a whole bag, and she's making it by the pot now, and we're just taking it intravenously.
I know you're definitely delusional because you're still calling it Grand Union.
Yeah,
Was that like
I
12
told
years
you.
ago?
I guess it's Shaw's, and I also
It will always be the goo.
Yeah.
Always.
and I it's funny because I was talking this weekend and I remembered where A&P was.
Oh yeah.
So
Next thing you know, you're going to go down the store to down the road to Harry's.
yeah,
Right?
I know. Those people not from Central Vermont wouldn't even realize that. But it was the Lenny's of the 70s.
Okay. Well, as long as you don't go to Ames's or Rich's, I'll know you're okay. You can still drive.
So we have been following this since somebody's echoing. There we go. So we've been following this since last week. There has been one executive order that's been issued, and there's been several guidance documents that have come out. And I'd like to take a few minutes and discuss them and give you some updates as far as the Agency of Transportation and how they foresee handling things. Also, the number from yesterday's tests, if you haven't heard, we topped out at 122. 122, which set a new record, the old record being from last Friday of 109. So we went from 109 to 84 to 47, I think it was, and now to 122. And they are predicting a continued rise throughout this week. So we've just got to get ready for that rise. If we say the problem, if we want to get into the problem, and we have been in contact with, I was telling Matt earlier, since noon yesterday, roughly 20 companies, and we've been talking with them. We had 5 go-tos this morning with different companies, and if you would like us to report to your company, we'll certainly try to schedule something in for you. The Claire, the governor, on Friday issued an executive order. The emergency executive order was very simple. I've got it up on your screen. I think the limitation on business operations and social gatherings, again effective Saturday at 10 p.m. Multiple household, this whole thing, the 122, the 109, what they're predicting to happen this weekend is far more social than it is actual on the job. But once we've got it in the social realm, it's the next step is back on the job. And I'll tell you the recommendation from the Department of Health or from anybody involved in this right now is to limit your work areas, i.e. cut your offices. If you can, cut your office staff by at least 50%. And in any case, if people can work from home, let's get them back working from home. Very important. We want to limit our social contact with any and everybody. It is, and I hate to sound this way, but it is no tolerance. If they're in an office environment and if you are exposed to other people within that office environment or within those social environments, you should have a mask on, mask up, hand sanitizer, hygiene, that whole piece, and I'm not saying or, and that 6 foot distancing. We've got to really grab this thing and pull it back in. And that's what we're hoping to be able to accomplish over the next 4 weeks. The other piece in here, of course, restaurant hours, social gatherings, house gatherings, whatnot, they are suspended. I would recommend that you not have anybody in for the holidays, i.e. Thanksgiving right now, that we have not had contact with over the last couple weeks. Restaurant hours, seating, shutting down, bars, social clubs, again, shut down, suspend all operations, although you can still get a daiquiri to go. If you want to order a daiquiri to go or a margarita down at the local pub, you can get it curbside. The contact log has to be kept in place, whether it's in your place of business or in a club or a bar. Keep the contact log in place. And again, if DOH calls you, Department of Health calls you, please take the call. If Department of Health calls you, take the call. It's part of the contact tracing that is going on right now. You don't know who your friends have been with, who your relatives have been with, and that is the problem. People are not taking those calls, and we cannot do a valid contact tracing as it should be done right now. So please take those calls. We talked about, and I've discussed it most of the morning, the cross-state travel, especially with hunting season. There's our red, bright red, but cross-state travel, essential travel is defined as traveling for essential purposes, including work, do not need to quarantine. But that does not mean I went to hunt camp for the weekend and I came back to work. That is leisure travel. If you are doing leisure or recreational travel and you have employees doing it, they have to shut down, meaning quarantine for 14 days or 7 days with a negative test. If you have employees that have traveled, we have to quarantine or 7 days with a negative test. Now I will tell you, Matt over here found the gray area. And the gray area is the piece didn't go into effect until 10 o'clock on Saturday. So if they left before 10 o'clock on Saturday, they've got a freebie for this weekend. But it's not going to happen again. Essential travel is traveling for work or those other areas that are clearly defined. Travelers arriving to Vermont in a personal vehicle must complete 14-day quarantine, and anyone returning or traveling to Vermont must follow Vermont's mandatory quarantine rules. If you have questions, you can text me at 802-793-5659, 802-793-5659, or you can enter your question right there in the chat box. Essential travel. They are recommending that we, one, big jobs, 100 people, but we try to operate in 4 5-man crews. 4 or 5-man crews, and we continue to do so. But again, they're emphasizing if your offices in closed areas can work from home, we should be working from home. AOT is requiring those people that are working on the Agency of Transportation jobs, there are 2 things you should be aware of. AOT is requiring that you have a 24-hour shutdown plan. If you need or get notified you have to shut down, it's 24 hours, and that's got to be shut down, and we've got to ensure safety for the traveling public. That's number 1. Number 2, there'll be no extension after your winter contract runs out. If your contract runs out on December 1st, there's no extension. If it runs out on the 3rd, there's no extension. You can pick up again next year. The last piece of that, and Wayne Simmons has been pretty good about this so far. If for some reason you don't feel safe, or for some reason you feel you should shut down earlier, or you don't feel safe working throughout the winter, you can contact Wayne Simmons, and he will make arrangements for you to have your days added to the end of your contract. Those days will be added to the end of the contract. But right now, any contract that ends on December 1st or the start of the winter season, whatever your contract date is, they will require those jobs to be shut down on that date. If you have a full year contract or work throughout the winter contract, then you can continue to work, but everybody should have in place a 24-hour shutdown plan. It should be, frankly, it should be written down, and we should be ready to go if that is needed on your job site. Again, 50% off on your office staff or work from home when at all possible. No inter-office travel. I don't need guys from the job site coming into the office, and I don't need office people going out to the job site. So limit inter-office travel, limit inter-office and maintenance shop travel and interaction. Keep those things either by phone or by computer, emails, whatnot, but let's limit that excessive social congregate that's going on. Keep track if you have, and so we put together our trying to find it. Sorry. if you have, and we put together and everybody's following it well right now, again, if you have a fever of 100 degrees or greater, we should move that person out of our company for 24 hours or until 24 hours without symptoms. If you have an unusual, key word being unusual, cough or runny nose, unusual cough or runny nose, it's 72 hours without symptoms worsening. If you have upset stomach, vomiting, diarrhea, 24 hours after the symptoms have gone. Now, if you have 2 of those combined, each one of those are singular. If you have 2 of them combined, we should probably be looking at 72 hours and some type of test. If you have personal exposure, known exposure to somebody exhibiting a sign, and again, this is important and this is what's going to keep us going, is be aware of the symptoms and the exposure. Get them to wear a mask 100% of the time. You keep a mask on, and we keep going for 7, and again, monitor them for 7 days. If we have a confirmed employee test, and that confirmed employee test has to do, if I've got somebody that is, then I've got to turn around and isolate them for 7 days after the last symptoms or a negative test. If you're a confirmed positive test, I want to quarantine and isolate for 7 days and a negative test. And then if anybody I have on site that has contact with that confirmed test, I am going to move into a 7-day quarantine. And again, any symptoms require either a doctor release or 7 days after the last symptoms or a negative test. So it's important that if I got Jimmy Joe who tests positive, I know who he had contact with. And I'm able to, again, move them off into a quarantine or isolation so that I don't spread it further across my company. Average company shut down for a week runs 50 grand and higher, but an average company takes a hit for a shutdown for a week of about $50,000. We want to try to keep this contained so we aren't forced to shut down. Follow the rules and follow the protocols. They're all right there in front of you. I had somebody the other day ask, where can I get tested? Where can I get tested? Or where is testing available? I believe we've put it out on our website. Am I correct, Matt?
Yep, you go to the COVID resource page. It's on there.
Go to the COVID resource page, and it is where to get tested. There is a whole list and how you go about making arrangements, who you need to call, and how to register for pop-up testing, and the different areas across the state that are available for testing. And that's updated almost every day. Other testing locations are added. The other piece at the end, there's a simple search bar down here, COVID-19 test site finder, that you can enter your zip code and it'll tell you the 3 closest testing sites available. OSHA just issued a some guidance on this, identifying lower exposure risks, tasks that allow employees to remain at least 6 feet apart, involve little contact to public visitors or whatnot. That's low risk, medium, any tasks that require workers to be within 6 feet of one another, or tasks that require workers to be in close contact. And high, you guys entering an indoor work site occupied by people such as workers, customers, or residents. Again, high risk and very high is most construction work tasks are associated with no more than high exposure risk. They also, and this is right on our website, they've built in the different controls you can use, the different things you can do. And again, that's all at agcvt.org. And you can take a look at that and put it to work with your folks. Again, each of our employees should understand the signs and symptoms of COVID. Our protocols, they should be fully aware of our protocols that are in place and how to handle those. Appropriate cleaning practices. I was talking to a guy in the maintenance field this morning, and I said, anytime you have a piece of equipment show up, you should automatically, if they break the plane of the door, they should have a mask on, number one. You should have either a can of Lysol or some sanitizer wipes to wipe down the controls in there. Let it sit for 15 to 30 minutes, and then start your work on it. Again, it's not foolproof, it's not 100%, but it's working very well for us right now. I got asked about masks. If you guys need masks, we have 1,000 masks like this. We have 1,000 masks, and we'll ship them out to you. Ship whatever you need. We're all buckling, we're all tightening up. We will ship whatever you need. No charge for the mask. I got to get something for postage. But this isn't a 1-800 line. If you need masks, you let Debbie know. DEBBIE at agcvt.org, and we'll ship you masks. Now, I had a question about gaiters versus the other masks, this or that. If you take a gaiter and double it up, they're showing that it's just as good as all the other things. Again, two layers of protection in there are what they're looking for. If you don't double it up, it's only about 50% efficient, if I remember from everything I heard. Do we have questions? I'm happy to handle questions.
Richard,
Yes.
Donnie Blake here.
Donnie Blake, how are you, man?
Not bad. I'd like to go back to your statement that, or I should say that Matt got, so 10 a.m. Saturday the 14th, if I had an employee that was hunting, left middle of the week before, he's okay to come back to work because it didn't go into effect till Saturday?
If you look, Don, this took a little time to figure this out. If you go here, if you go to the cross, hold on. If you go to the cross-state travel, and within the travel, cross-state travel piece, it says, what if the map changes before or during my travel? The travel map is updated every Tuesday. If you're a visitor to Vermont, the day you travel to Vermont determines the status of your county of origin. If you are a Vermonter traveling to out-of-state county, the day you leave Vermont determines the status of your county. So what I said was, you got a freebie for this weekend. That's all you got.
Yeah.
It won't happen again because we're all fully aware of it now. But I said we took 20 phone calls. One of the pieces we've been dealing with is everybody that left prior to the governor issuing his order. So according to what he says, according to what he says, that's where we're at.
Thank you.
Okay?
Yep, obviously we can be extra cautious and adhere to making them quarantine.
Yeah. And I think if we want to keep moving, and that's the whole game. I was in a conversation with somebody this morning and I said, we're all safety guys here. We evaluate a risk, and is the risk worth that 50 or 75 grand a week to keep us going, right?
Agreed.
So I think we should be erring in some fashion on that other side.
That's the way we're going. We have
Okay.
one that wasn't happy, but that's what we're doing.
Now the other question we had was, when somebody got upset because they claim privacy, we can't ask them where they're going or what they're doing. And Matt's sitting over there shaking his head, yes. Except under the governor's order, you can during this time.
All you simply gotta ask is if they're going out of state.
That's it. Don't care where they're going or what they're doing, if they're going out of state for leisure or recreational purposes. There's only five or six areas that they can go out of state for, and again, it's all essential travel. But if we're going,
We added it to that questionnaire you gave us. We added one more new box in there if you traveled out of state in the past 14 days. Yes or no?
yes. Thank you, Donnie. Anybody else? Questions? Any questions?
Did you clarify?
Hey Dick,
Yes.
it's Sarah at Menasha's. How are you?
Not bad, Sarah.
Well, good. Hey, I'm just wondering about those pledge cards that we have. We're supposed to be doing those every day, right?
Every day, every person, every day, and we should be having them check their temperature every day before arriving. Yes.
But we can get creative a little bit with the pledge cards, right? We can kind of do maybe like a form.
Yeah.
Where we could.
Sure.
Okay.
And I've got plenty of those booklets. Just tell me you want them, and I'll ship them to you. I'm serious.
All right, well,
At this
I
point.
emailed Debbie on the map, so I'll email her on the pledge card.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yes, at this point, they are not, and I don't mean it this way, and Donnie Blake will get upset with me, but they aren't doing me any good sitting on the shelf. They're doing you good in the field, and I just want to get them out. I will absorb the cost in here and not tell Donnie Blake or the board. You tell me how many books you want, and we'll get them out to you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I do have a question. This is Teresa Neely. The question that I have with regarding traveling out of state, just to clarify, are you asking that of everyone, even if they are not requesting formal time off from work?
Yes.
I think I meant that part.
Remember, this whole thing is not, so we've done beautiful. You guys have been fabulous, and I am serious. We are the best performing sector out there. We've had the least impact of any sector out there. So I'm telling you, the way this thing is spreading is socially. So your guy, girl, goes out of state, gets infected, doesn't know it. I'll also tell you one of the highest areas right now is the Northeast Kingdom, because we've got some folks up there that are going up to Coos County or whatever it is in the northern part of New Hampshire, and they're bringing it back. They aren't showing signs of sickness. Everybody around them is. So if somebody is going out of state, I want to know they're going out of state. Yes. Does that answer that? I hope it did.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
So did you address the fact that we have some people that are conflating leisure travel and work travel? Meaning, because I'm still getting questions on it. So that's
Okay.
why I bring it up.
So Matt had a great question this morning. The question was, my guy left to go to deer camp, but he's coming back to work this week. So doesn't he fall under the essential work parameters? No, he doesn't, because he left for leisure travel. He left for leisure travel. And it's very clear that if within this someplace here, if you're traveling for leisure in or out of the state, you have to quarantine for 14 days or 7 days with a test, negative test. Very clear. Somebody out there is echoing and I can't see who it is.
Right?
Questions?
It's the folks that are trying to conflate the two things. You can't, and if you read the language very clearly, it says your requirement to quarantine is based on the purpose for your travel. If you inject leisure into that in even one direction, whether you're going for leisure or coming back for leisure, you have just traveled for leisure.
That's correct.
If you're traveling for work, I have to go do a pipe fitting in New York, and then I come back the same day. That's traveling for work.
That's correct.
If I go to New York and I go hunting, stay for 2 days, even if I want to come back every day, I'm not coming back for my residence. I'm coming back from a leisure trip that I took.
Correct.
Sorry, I'm getting passionate about this now.
No, Matt came in and poked the bear this morning. That's why he's trying to be very specific. Any other?
I got a question for you guys. We're talking a lot about out-of-state travel and leisure. How do we track coworkers or employees in-state? What is someone to do if someone we know that's in-state that's not following the state guidelines as far as large gatherings and stuff like that? Is there anything recommendations for that situation?
Yeah. I'd walk the other way and put him on leave for a week. I'm
Yeah, I just didn't know, I'm a superintendent, and if I say have a worker come on my site that I know from seeing on social media or whatnot that's out in a large social gathering, is there certain rights that we have as superintendents or as a company to say, hey, we know what you've been doing behind the scenes, you need to leave the site?
Company policy.
I think if you follow our protocols, you have a company policy that allows you to do that. You got to ensure, as a company and within our protocols, you have to be able to ensure the safety of the masses out there on the job site. Yes. And we've been dealing with one very similar to that. So we've asked all these questions. I do see I got a chat up there, but I can't see it because my chat button shut down. Question. Authorized work exemptions. The state of Vermont currently allows those travelers to and from Vermont for authorized work, whether they are Vermonter or non-resident traveler, to enter Vermont without quarantining. Traveling to conduct authorized work if the individual has not been in contact with somebody COVID-19 in the last 24 hours and has not experienced difficulty breathing, and they spell it out. But that travel has to be, you cannot go over to Coos County for deer camp and think you're traveling back for work. No. Guys, this is spreading socially. It's not spreading on our job sites until we allow the social to interfere with it. And I know you don't like my answer, but that's it. No. If they are traveling for pleasure, leisure, recreation, they have to quarantine when they get back.
Hey, Robbie,
Yeah.
then why have the exemption?
What do you mean?
There's an exemption to the travel guidelines, and that's the exemption.
No.
If you look at the ACCD website, that's the exemption. They need to get rid of the exemption. There's a loophole right now.
No, it goes to the
Choose-
purpose of the
Choose or choose
travel.
not to.
The minute that you use leisure in the conversation about travel, it's leisure travel and you're playing games. That's the answer. The two things can't be conflated. You're either traveling for work, which means I'm going to New York to lay pipe and coming back, or I'm traveling for leisure, I'm going to New York to pull out my gun and go hunting. They're not, it's clear as mud on the website, but they've been updating this thing so much, you know, you gotta understand, it's pretty clear. You're either working
The
or you're not.
exemption to live out of state.
That's what the exemption's for.
Yeah, the
It doesn't
exemption.
say that.
Okay. So, no, if you're willing, not a problem. If you're willing to risk it, and you're willing to risk your crew of all getting sick and your office being shut down, then go for it.
I'm just saying that's
And
the
I'm-
exemption. though.
And you heard me.
They gotta either close the exemption to the newest stuff, or they let us make a decision on what's going on with our people.
Yeah. No, that's fine. You accept the risk. If you're willing to shut your job site down for that, go right ahead, Matt. You accept the risk. I'm spelling out risk for you.
No, yeah, I understand. I get it.
Any more questions? Any questions?
Hi, Richard. It's Pam Benoit. I have a quick question.
How you doing? Pam, I haven't heard from you in 4 days. This is good.
I know. That doesn't mean that it hasn't been crazy.
Go
But if somebody was around somebody who tested positive, they were around them 4 days ago. Obviously, they're going to have to quarantine for the time. But what's the number of days before this affects them? You know, if they're around them 7 days ago,
Yeah.
what's the number of days?
We're seeing, and again, I'm speaking from experience, we're seeing 3 to 7 days after exposure, you see signs. So if they were around somebody last Wednesday or Thursday, you're probably going to see
Yeah.
signs this Wednesday, by this Wednesday. But again, that's only 85% of the cases. Some of them linger longer. And we had the thing the other day where Johnny was around it and we isolated him. We did this whole thing. And then 6 days later, it went, and if you saw the map, it's funny, it went through like 10 people and came back, and Johnny got infected. And there's nothing wrong with being infected. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with being infected. It's not dirty. We're trying to save businesses right now. And that's what we're doing. And we've got to follow
Right.
our protocols to save our businesses. And those protocols include limiting social gatherings, limiting our own congregates on our job sites, wearing masks, and sanitizing. That's what it involves.
Yeah, so if somebody is around somebody last Thursday, they tested positive, they had, that person they were around tested positive, they got the results today, they would stay home
That's correct.
for their,
Contact, and it's pretty easy. It's right there on our map. It's right there on our map. It's pretty easy. Contact with a
Yeah.
confirmed case, 7-day quarantine. Any symptoms after that require you to go from there. Please show me that chat. Lauren had a question. Lauren, on the around someone, we have dealt with this. They have to quarantine for 7 days and get tested, or 14 days with no test from what we were told to do. Which is right, exactly what we're saying on our on our little guide there. And again, that's downloadable right off our website, and we also have it in poster form if you would like that. Any questions? Floor is open.
Okay, Richard. So this whole thing that the governor put out on Friday, this is all talking about cross-state travel. What about deer camps in Vermont by Vermonters, not crossing state lines? Does that fall into the executive order or not, other than the multi-household gathering piece?
That's where it falls into the order, is in that multi-household, mixed household, whatever you want to call it.
Who was texting you pissed off on Friday last week?
Matt was quite upset because he was going to a deer camp and then found out that he couldn't have anybody outside his household at the deer camp with him.
There's
So-
that bourbon for me, but.
Yeah. So it does, yes, Jason, it does include that multi-household piece, yes. I mean, again, we can figure, I am one of the best when it comes to gray area, and I can figure gray areas around a lot of this. I'm not saying you are, but I don't know if the risk is worth the benefit right now. Right now. And I'm asking you for 4 weeks just to tighten up, no tolerance, and let's see where we end up in 4 weeks so we can continue to work. And that's all I'm looking for.
You know, it was thrown into perspective for me today. I took a call from somebody that was upset because their husband is in the hospital and is having a major issue with their health, and they can't go see their husband. So it puts a perspective on it today. I'm not that pissed about hunting camp anymore.
Anybody else? I feel like I'm the weather guy trying to give you some good weather here. There's no good friggin' weather coming for a couple weeks. Anybody else?
Hey, Dick, this is Ben Daniels from HP Cummins.
Yeah, Ben. How are you?
Good, sir, and you?
Good. Hey, we're sending you out a pizza box just for you for
Brilliant.
invite to our annual meeting. It's on our island. I don't know if you realize it, but AGC has built an island and it's COVID free. You don't have to wear a mask on our island.
I'll be there.
Okay. Go ahead,
So I
Ben.
had a question from a guy on site today, and I don't know if there's any truth to this, but I guess there's a rumor going around that if you're traveling from out of state into Vermont to work and you get pulled over or stopped, you may have to show some type of proof that you're actually going to work. Is that anything you've heard?
Now, I have not heard nor seen anything like that. I have, just to let you know, I am fully aware that public safety is inquiring for the purpose of your travel if they're stopping you. And if you're coming from out of state, they're providing you with a little educational card that says, here's what you have to do if you're traveling. Yes. But I have not heard them asking for verification.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ben, I know you're up in that Northeast Kingdom. There are 2 areas that are hot as hell right now. 2 areas other than Chittenden County. I mean, we expect that just because of the large number of people. But that Northeast Kingdom is very hot, and Central Vermont, between Central Vermont and Orange, they made up 50% of that 122 that occurred yesterday. So roughly 61 people in Washington County and Orange yesterday.
Wow. Yeah, it's getting pretty intense.
Okay. Anybody else?
Can you talk a little bit about the responsibilities for pay depending on, and if any come into play, if you require an employee to stay home?
Under the Families First.
If they have any hours available under that, but what if you as an employer are saying, we aren't going to assume the risk of you coming to work because you went to deer camp or were at a social gathering and that sort of thing, you have to stay home. Is there any obligation you as an employer have to pay that employee? I don't believe so, but just want to double check.
It is on your screen right now. Under the Family CARES Act, let's just say. 2 weeks at the employee's regular rate of pay where the employee is unable to work because the employee is quarantined pursuant to federal, state, or local government order or advice of a health care provider or experience COVID. And again, they're quarantined. At that point, you're asking them to remain home. They're quarantined pursuant to state or local government order.
Got it. Right, because that just changed. Okay, thank you.
Okay?
But they only
Right.
get 2 weeks. 80 hours.
Correct.
They can only do it once.
Correct.
And then they sit at home.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And Lauren's reminding everybody for the Families First companies under 50 are exempt. As I understand it, you could be exempt. I don't have a clear, I have not gotten a clear ruling on that, Lauren.
You would have to prove that you had a financial hardship that you would close your company. And
Okay.
that would be very difficult for 80 hours unless all of your employees went.
How many times are you responsible for paying an employee under the Family Leave Act up to 2 weeks or up to 80 hours?
You had another question?
Richard, Donnie here. That's on the state level. Then I think you're gonna find, if you're looking in closer, the emergency federal, the federal side of it, they get 10 weeks at 2/3 of their pay.
That's if they're taking care of a loved one.
That, yeah, Matt just clarified, Donnie, I think that's if they're taking care of a loved one. The Family CARES Act totals out per employee 2 weeks or up to 80 hours.
Scroll on down there, additional 10 weeks.
That's it. I'll look in deeper on that one.
And Donnie, it's right there. Up to an additional 10 weeks of paid expanded family and medical leave at 2/3 regular rate of pay where an employee who has been employed for at least 30 calendar days is unable to work due to a bona fide need for leave to care for a child. Okay?
Or for reasons unavailable for reasons related to COVID-19. Okay,
Okay?
yeah, all
I
right.
think that's part
I mean,
of the
we've-
childcare section. Childcare providers
Yeah.
closed or unavailable.
We've, not that we're the end all here, Donnie, we've done a mess of research, but, I
Right.
mean, again, we may be off. But I
Okay,
think
had
we're,
HR take another look, cause I was under a different impression, but.
I think we're pretty close.
If I can, this is Teresa again, jumping in. It sounds like someone had mentioned the Vermont leave. My understanding is if it is a COVID-related reason, then you must offer, or employers are obligated to offer the Families First for paid sick leave, which is what we're talking about if someone has themselves a need for the up to 80 hours. Not to be confused with Vermont's earned sick leave law, which would be different.
And it is in addition to Vermont's sick leave law, I believe.
And they also will qualify for unemployment.
And they would qualify for unemployment as well, yes. Anything else?
Hey, Lobby, it's Matt with Jay McDonald.
Hey,
I
Matt!
have a guy who he has a family, we'll say a death in the family. And
Is
he
it
has to leave. We'll just say in theory for a death. Or
is
something
it
that-
COVID-related death? Is it a COVID-related death, or is it just a death?
Just a death, but say the funeral's out of state, say New Hampshire.
No. No. No.
No,
No. Anything else?
he doesn't have to quarantine.
No. I was answering your question.
Wait, no. I think you have to quarantine.
Yeah.
That's not exempted travel.
No, that's what I'm saying. My answer was no. That doesn't exempt him from quarantine.
What if he lives in New Hampshire, but he's working here?
Then he's got the work exemption anyway.
Then he's yeah, try. Oh my God. Then he, as Matt just said, then he's got the work exemption in anyway.
Oh God. Yeah. Okay.
Didn't write the rules.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Hey, Bobby, it's Matt here, engineers. What, seeing a huge uptick on COVID tests and pending tests, household, mostly, wives and stuff.
Yeah.
Are we just mostly focused on our employees?
Well,
Or
again,
from another employer, say, doing a test precautionary reasons, and so far, no, there's no symptoms. Our employee, it's kind of on our discretion if that employee comes to work for us on a household pending test.
okay.
Just want to make sure we're doing that one right, because we're doing like 7,000 to 10,000 tests a day.
Correct. I'm going to end up with this whole thing. I'm going to end up with about 10 of these open before it's done. But we spelled that out fairly clearly in here with the, again, if they have exposure to a confirmed positive, right, then you've got to isolate them for that 7-day period.
Yeah, but I'm talking when it's pending, we're seeing anywhere from 3 to 6 days before we get results back. And a lot of it's other employers just saying, okay, you got a couple of symptoms, or even a doctor's office says, okay, you got a couple of symptoms, let's take a test. And it's not a contact tracing thing, it's just they're taking a test to take a test for precautionary reasons.
So what's your,
Say it's the wife that's sick, and
did
she's
she
got a
test
COVID
positive?
test, and it's pending. Our worker's feeling fine, feeling good, but the household has a pending COVID test,
And then, Matt, we go over here. Known exposure to someone exhibiting a sign or symptom. Be aware of the symptoms and self-monitor for 7 days. Wear a mask at all times during the monitor period.
Perfect. So they can come to work and just follow best practices.
Correct.
Like we talked about this with another company the other day. If it's like someone that, is going to have a routine medical, like let's say you're having your ankle operated on, they're gonna ask you to get a COVID test. But you're not exposed to somebody that is exhibiting symptoms at that time. So you always wanna find out what that trigger mechanism is. If they're just going through and testing you routinely, that's, a different level.
Correct. And again, Teresa, and that's kind of what I was saying, Teresa. It's a total of 80 hours, not per occurrence. Anybody else today? Anybody else? So we will leave you alone through Thursday at noon or Wednesday at noon. Seems Thursday would be a good day. What do you think?
I gotta go with, if are we gonna have any more news on Friday, or is Tuesday our only conference that we're gonna have this week?
I think you'll have Tuesday and Friday.
Might make sense to reconvene Friday.
Okay. If, right now, we'll meet again Friday at noon. If you're interested, if something changes drastically between now and Friday, we'll send you all out a reminder, an email, and we'll have a quick meeting. I appreciate your patience. I appreciate everything you're trying to do. If you need anything, you want to talk, you need someone to talk with some of your people, please give us a call. Our COVID hotline here at the office. Text me 802-793-5659 or email Debbie, DEBBIE @agcvt.org. She's sitting in the back of the room shaking her head. No!
I'm good for the mask, not for the COVID.
But anything you need, you let us know. We're here for you. My name's Richard Wabi, and it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you all for everything you're doing out there.
Thanks, Richard. Thanks, Matt.
We'll hang out here if you have any questions for a few minutes.
Hey, Wabi,
Hey,
I got a quick MSHA training issue. Need your help with? Can you
Okay.
call me after?
yeah, call me, call me. Give me,
What time? I can.
give me,
1:30?
I'm talking to you at 3 o'clock anyway, right?
Yeah.
Give me a call in half an hour.
We'll do. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you.
Urgent training needed.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else want to talk? Sarah? Alan? Hey, Alan, have you been out on the island and seen your place? I hope you have. Take a trip out to the island. The campus, I guess. Take a ride out to the campus. Anybody else? Garrett?
Yeah.
How you doing?
If you were to rub a crystal ball and take a look at what's going on, do you similar to the type of restrictions we saw this spring? Like,
No. I think we've got a handle on this. I think if we follow our protocols, we will not see that shutdown, Garrett. The borders are going to be tightened up. Everything is going to happen around us. But the way we've performed as a sector, I do not believe. I'm rubbing that crystal ball right now. I don't believe we will be shut down to that extent. No. Okay?
I live right across the river from Coos County, and
Yeah. You might be shut down.
works like my
although-
wife works in healthcare, and she's right in the middle of this outbreak. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
And Sununu has thrown the towel in and just said, "I'm kind of done with this right now." They even gave up on contact tracing because they couldn't keep up with it. Where we're upset across the state, we're seeing 120 people showing testing positive. I think New Hampshire yesterday showed 4 or 450. And again, the lion's share, as you say, right outside of Coos County, the lion's share is in that northern quadrant of New Hampshire.
Yeah, we had a pretty good outbreak up there.
Yeah. Anybody else?
All right.
Thank you. Thank you, Garrett. Anybody else? Judy, if you get a chance, you got to come into the campus. You got to come into the island, man. It's COVID free. Anybody else? Representative Ghostland, how are you today?
Doing good here. Nice job out there. Nice to hear everybody, what's going on out there.
Hey, have you figured out what committees you're gonna be on?
Not yet. Guys wanna offer me some advice? Maybe, I could use a little help here.
We want you on the gambling committee and the marijuana committee.
You think I'd be good with that, huh? That'll probably work good with this group.
Here's my advice, be real nice to Jill, because I heard Sarah just dropped out of the running.
She did. Saturday. So, okay. Hey, give us a call after. We'll have that conversation. Thank you.
Have a good day.
See ya. Paul, you still there?
You always get the few at the end that got up and walked away from the computer.
Yeah. Okay, y'all have a good day. Thank you.
I don't really know what I should do. My mom kinda seems like she might need some attention.
If that's
I don't think I need to leave early, I'll go have dinner with her, but.
if that's your purpose, then that's good. If because you're not gonna be able to get into the hospital, I'll just tell you.
No,
If you
she,
don't already know
she
that.
just called me, and I wouldn't have said that it was, I would never have said that was my mom that made that phone call.
Yeah.
But my mom just called me out of her head in the parking lot at the hospital, and
Yeah.
she's blaming Phil, she's blaming fucking every fucking politician, and, no one understands. And, I mean, to me, it puts it in oh, Jesus.
Far right, left. Sorry. Yep.